Hello, dear friends and subscribers. Welcome to an exciting cricket happening show today with your host Ram. And what an electrifying match that we had yesterday. It was actually a crunch game in the match between New Zealand, co-host New Zealand and England. And we really had this was a crunch match, but this crunch match was reduced to absolutely nothing by an electrifying display from the co-host New Zealand when they put up a performance which would rank among the best in both batting as well as bowling, and they went on trampling records. And the man who started it all was Tim Southee with some wonderful swing bowling that would have exhibited probably in the days of Sir Richard Hadlee. He went on to create a record as he took 7 wickets for 33 runs to totally sink England into the mire, and England had no answer to New Zealand as they were all out for 123, and that 7 for 33 was a record as far as one-day internationals was concerned, as Tim Southee now has the best figures in one-day internationals by a New Zealand bowler. Not only that, but 123 all out, probably England would have nurtured hopes of probably thinking that Tim Southee has generated enormous swing, and probably this is a turn for James Anderson to actually do something and really give England, really give New Zealand, I mean, at least try to actually defend the total. But all those hopes were quashed by the New Zealand captain Brendan Mcullum as he wielded his bat like a sword yesterday, as his punitive blade kept on cutting the English bowlers to absolute shreds, as he was totally merciless on each and every bowler. As one record which was created was first by Tim Southee with the ball, and then Brendan Mcullum literally manhandled the English bowlers to score a record 77 runs of just 25 deliveries with 8 fours and 7 sixes, and by doing so now Brendan Mcullum holds the record for the fastest 50 in World Cup history, as he smashed a half century of just I reckon it was 18 balls. So two records were broken yesterday, one by Tim Southee and Brendan Mcullum, and what an electrifying display. In fact, England bowlers were watching absolutely helplessly as the New Zealand were totally swarming over the English bowlers, and Brendan Mcullum was the man who really thrashed the English bowling and reduced this match to absolutely nothing. As you know, this particular ground at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington had its magnificent share of entertainment here, and I thought this was one of the best matches which was played in the World Cup. And look at the margin: England 123 all out in 33.2 overs, New Zealand pinching England at 125 for 2, match over in 12.2 overs, keeping a run rate of 10.13 runs per over. Stupendous, one could say. Tim Southee bagged the Man of the Match award, and England, as I said, were absolutely left gaping by this wonderful assault coming in from Tim Southee. Made the ball talk at all times with some tremendous exhibition of great swing bowling, and then we had Mcullum smashing it all across the park to have the distinction of scoring the fastest 50 in World Cup history. So it's all started. Let's have a look at the match as to how it panned out. Well, it all started off with it was a very good toss to win, and let me tell you, England, Ian Morgan winning the toss and had no hesitation electing to bat, and that was the right decision because it was looking like a real belter there. And it all started with Ian Bell and Moeen Ali starting proceedings for England, and Brendan Mcullum, right from the word go, probably was determined to actually win this match in a canter, because what he did is he actually started with some attacking captaincy, and throughout we had he had 4 slips and a gully in place right from the beginning for his pace bowlers Tim Southee and Trent Boult. Not only that, not only did he do that, but he also, the entire match, we saw at least 1 slip and a very, very close in field that he had. He had 4 to 5 people inside the circle. Such was the attacking captaincy from Brendan McCullum, and that paid absolutely rich dividends as England had no answer. It all started with, and also Brendan McCullum with his body language. While his fielding was absolutely superb yesterday, he was flinging at everything and he was putting his heart and soul into it. And Brendan McCullum, I thought, with the body language that he was actually showing yesterday, right from the outset, one had a feeling that it could be McCullum's day. And yes, it was McCullum's day, as he went on to thrash the English bowling to absolutely nothing. So, just talking about the game, it all started with Ian Bell and Moeen Ali opening the innings. Well, Moeen Ali played some very good strokes, I thought, very forcing strokes through the offside, but then the first wicket was taken when the breakthrough was provided by the man who started it all, as Tim Southee provided an early breakthrough by nipping one to Ian Bell. What a pearl of a delivery that Tim Southee produced. Ian Bell was absolutely caught at the crease, didn't know nothing about it. His half stump was shaved off and he was gone. So Ian Bell gone, bowled by Southee for 8 of 17 balls with 1-4. England 18 for 1 in the 5th over. Moeen Ali, who was really stroking the ball well, was joined in by Gary Ballance, and Moeen Ali himself was actually, there was a bouncer which was bowled by Tim Southee, the previous delivery, and the very next delivery, a spearing Yorker, an in-swinging Yorker. Moeen Ali was absolutely, I would say, nonplussed there as the ball went on to hit the furniture. Moeen Ali gone, bowled by Tim Southee for 20 of 15 balls with 4 fours. England had lost both the openers and scored at 36 for 2 in the 7th over. Gary Ballance was there at the crease. He was joined in by Joe Root, and both had an onerous task to do to get England out of trouble. Well, Gary Ballance and Joe Root. Gary Ballance was absolutely tested by Trent Boult outside the off stump. He bowled a probing line to Gary Ballance, and Gary Ballance and Joe Root managed to push the score on to 57. The other end, Tim Southee was swinging the ball like a banana, one could say, and finally Gary Ballance and Trent Boult had pushed the score on to 57, and that was the time Trent Boult, who had already troubled Gary Ballance in a great deal. What he did is he actually had Ballance probably a frustration stroke for him. Gary Ballance probably trying to basically trying to get one up over Boult there, trying to this was a delivery which was not a delivery which was a wicket taking delivery, but Gary Ballance was gone as he actually gave a tame catch to Williamson at the short cover region. He was gone for 10 of 26 balls, and England were 57 for 3 in the 14th over. Morgan, the out of form captain, joined Joe Root. Joe Root, as you know, normally he likes to just stay at the crease, and he was doing the anchor job very well at that stage as Morgan joined him. And Morgan, the captain, well, he definitely, I wouldn't say was pretty convincing, but at least he hit one boundary, and probably that would have done some good confidence to him. But that was the time when Joe Root and Morgan were at the crease. Daniel Vettori was pressed into the attack, and Daniel Vettori immediately scalped the wicket of Morgan, as Morgan tried to go aerial but probably lacked the full power behind the shot. And Adam Menn, what a catch from Adam Menn. As I said, Brendan McCullum set an example with his brilliant fielding. Adam Menn took a real blinder, one could say, because the ball was really high up in the air, and Adam Menn at long on had to really cover a lot of ground. He did it perfectly. I think it was a long off. He did it perfectly, and he dived full length to pick up the beautiful catch, and it was the end of Morgan, and his woeful form continued there. Caught Min bowled Vettori for 17 of 41 balls with 1-4. England 104 for 4 in the 26th over. At least I would say Morgan and Joe Root at least did some good work there to push the score on to 104. But from 104, it was totally England absolutely sunk to their knees as Tim Southee produced an exhibition of great swing bowling, and the way he swung the ball was something which was a real sight to be seen at Westpac Stadium in Wellington. As Tim Southee, once Morgan was gone, the England wickets, absolutely, it was a real procession, as from 104 for 4 at the halfway stage, 25.6 overs, England sunk to their knees to be all out for 123. Let's see what Tim Southee did. It was James Taylor at the crease, Joe Root was the man at the other end, and Tim Southee first picked up the wicket of Jay Taylor. What a delivery. I mean, Taylor was absolutely, I would say, didn't know anything about it, as Tim Southee, with some lot of pace and some real swinging Yorker, dismissed the stumps of James Taylor, who was out for duck, and half the England side were out for were into the pavilion at the score on 104 in the 27th over. The next to go, Joss Buttler, again Southee coming in, and this time producing a ball which left Buttler, but Buttler had nicked it into the hands of Raunchy behind the wicket. He was gone for 3 of 7 balls, England 108 for 6. Chris Woakes knew nothing about one more delivery, one more beauty of a delivery coming from Southee, which was a beautiful leg cutter, which Chris Woakes was absolutely, had no idea about it, as it went on to hit the timber. Chris Woakes gone, bowled Southee for 1, and the score at 110 for 7. Stuart Broad tried to play an airy shot. He pushed at it, but Tim Southee had probably held that delivery, and Vettori took an easy catch. He was gone for 4, and Stephen Finn was caught by Taylor of the bowling of Southee. And finally, it was Joe Root, who was absolutely anchored at the other end, had nothing that he could do. He was really watching the procession going on, and finally, when Anderson came, Joe Root realized that it is he who can actually get some runs and do something, but in doing so, it was Joe Root also who succumbed after making the highest score of 46 of 70 balls with 3 fours, as Adam Min picked up his solitary wicket, Vettori picking up the catch, and Joe Root was out for 46, and Anderson not out 1, and England were all out for 123. Look at the bowling. Tim Southee returning career best figures, in the sense breaking the record for the, in the sense in one-day internationals. Tim Southee now holds the record for the best bowling by a New Zealander in one-day internationals. 9 overs, no maiden, 33 runs and 7 wickets. He was moving the ball away, he was getting the ball to come in, he was bowling those spearing Yorkers, in-swinging Yorkers one could say, and the English batsmen had absolutely no idea, they had no answer. The ball was talking all the time. 9 overs, no maiden, 33 runs and 7 wickets, and Tim Southee was the man who got the man of the match award. Trent Boult was absolutely on the money. 10 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 32. Adam Min, 5.2 overs, 1 maiden, 25 runs and 1 wicket. Daniel Vettori, 7 overs, went for 19 runs, and he picked up a wicket. Corey Anderson bowled 2 overs for 8 runs. Now, with a score of 123 all out, now it was probably New Zealand, England would have thought that if Tim Southee could produce that amount of swing on this particular belter of a pitch, why not James Anderson? So Morgan also took a cue from Brendan Mcullum, and what he did, he hemmed in he started off with 4 slips, in the similar way as to Brendan Mcullum, to see whether English bowlers could do the same. But well, it all started. Martin Guptill hit a boundary, and after that it was Brendan Mcullum on strike, and Brendan Mcullum pasted Anderson in the very first over itself for a boundary, and after that Brendan Mcullum was absolutely unstoppable. He went on to first hit Anderson. Anderson's first over yielded 9 runs. Broad went for, I think, 18 runs in the second over, as Brendan Mcullum wielded the bat like a sword. And what was more interesting was that Brendan Mcullum had decided that he would not allow the English bowlers to even get an iota of a swing, as he used to advance down the pitch. He was advancing down the pitch as if a batsman was advancing to a spinner, and he was smiting the English bowlers. Broad was lofted for a 6, Broad was carved for a 6, Broad was pulled for a 6, Broad was driven for 4, and it was all happening at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington. The next over was bowled by Stephen Finn, and Brendan Mcullum was irrepressible. Stephen Finn was clattered for 29 runs of a single over, in which, courtesy of 4 sixes coming in from Brendan Mcullum's bat, and Brendan Mcullum was not allowing even one ball to go a-begging, as he was really going after the English bowling. He was hitting them to all parts of the park, and the English bowlers were absolutely left toothless as Mcullum was smashing it all across the park. After that, Stephen Finn figures were absolutely ruined by Mcullum, as in 2 overs he gave away 49 runs, and in doing so Brendan Mcullum had raced to a record 50 of just, I think it was 18 balls if I'm right, or probably 16 balls, but he definitely now holds the record there, Brendan Mcullum. And the score was absolutely galloping. They were going at a rate of knots, 15 to 16 runs per over, and that was phenomenal performance. And the power play was absolutely going for a toss, and England didn't know what to do. Discussions were going on, but Brendan Mcullum was absolutely unstoppable, and Brendan Mcullum went on in his merry way. And then Chris Woakes probably, I think, was the only bowler who could demand some amount of respect from Mcullum. And finally, when New Zealand had the opening partnership had added 105 runs for the first wicket in I would say 50 deliveries, after all the mayhem that was done by Mcullum. And Mcullum was, as I said, he was simply irrepressible, and he went on and on, and well, it was thorough entertainment here at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington, and probably one of the best innings one would have seen from Brendan Mcullum. And Brendan Mcullum, you know what a dangerous customer he is. And finally Chris Woakes managed to actually disturb the stumps of Brendan Mcullum, and what a relief for the English bowlers as they saw the back of Brendan Mcullum. And Brendan Mcullum gone, bowled by Chris Woakes, but after making a punishing 77 of just 25 deliveries with 8 fours and 7 magnificent sixes hit, and Brendan Mcullum 105 for 1. And after that it was Martin Guptill, after making 22 of as many balls with 3 fours, was bowled by Woakes, as Woakes took 2 for 8. And well, after that, as I said, Brendan Mcullum had already done immense damage, and a score of 123 was cleared by New Zealand in 12.2 overs with what to say, 38 overs almost. And they have done themselves a great favor here, New Zealand, by actually upping the run rate to really gigantic proportions, as finally it was all over. The formalities were completed by Kane Williamson, unbeaten on 9 of 22 balls with 1-4. Ross Taylor was not out on 5 as many balls with 1-4. Match over. New Zealand completing the match in 12.2 overs. An absolutely electrifying display from New Zealand, and New Zealand winning the match by 8 wickets. Looking at the bowling, look at the bowling. Anderson, 5 overs, carved for 37 runs without a wicket. Stuart Broad smashed 2.2 overs, no made and none for 27. Stephen Finn manhandled by Brendan Mcullum, 2 overs costing 49 runs. I think this is the worst ever analysis by Stephen Finn in 2 overs in any single one-day international, I reckon. And Chris Woakes, 3 overs, 1 made and none for 8. Tim Southee of New Zealand returning, showing a tremendous exhibition of swing bowling in this World Cup 2015. Really sinking England to its knees, and that was it. He was named man of the match. And well, 2 matches coming up today. The Australia versus Bangladesh, which is going to be played at Gabba in Brisbane, unfortunately looks a bit doubtful. There's a lot of rain being falling, that's what the news is. And the other match which is coming up is another good game. It will be Pakistan versus West Indies. I'll be back with a full match report on both these matches, or summaries on both these matches tomorrow morning. Until then, it's goodbye, and what an electrifying display we had at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington. And I don't think cricket can get as electrifying as what Mcullum did yesterday to the English bowlers. That's it from your host Ram for the day, and this is your host Ram signing off today. Thank you.